Yes, it's time again for your favorite podcast. This is Survival of the Fittest is the soup du jour. I'm Roberto Trevino, and today I've just been thinking about all kinds of different things. None of this like really hip music, you know? Anyhow, soundboard's always having a good time with the tunes, so here we go. There's three ways to say this next statement. Location, 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 or location, 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 or location, location, location. Now, think about that for a minute. Sometimes you may have, as a chef, as a restaurateur, the best product on the planet. At least that's what you've been told. That's what you believe. You're willing to take that step. And it's time to find a spot. And sometimes some spots are too good to be true. And you become so overwhelmed by that particular spot that it starts to actually operate before it's even operating. In your mind, you see the plates develop. You see the staff. You see the bar. You see the clients. You see it all. And it's just one of those moments in, your life when you say there's a clarity about you and you're 100% sure you're about to make millions of dollars for this restaurant, and keep whatever you can. But the fact is it will be self-sustainable restaurant. And sometimes when it's just not that third location, it's a dud. And no matter what you did to save it, no matter what you do to make it work, it just doesn't. So this is why today I'm talking about location. It is one of those things that sometimes it's like hit or miss often. And you wonder sometimes, why does some restaurateurs and some chefs who have, let's not call it substandard food or service. Let's just call it, not up to par, not what you're doing, not your vision. And they're killing it, packed every night, tons of people. Everyone you talk to says, oh yeah, I love that restaurant. And you get to the point where you just can't, you start to say like, well, what is it exactly that makes it that location? Is it the demographic? Is it the accessibility? Is it the parking? Is it the fact that the rent is good, low? Is it built? Is it have some of the infrastructure there so you don't have to spend money on it? Those are the things. But you cannot let yourself be taken only by that. You really need to study the spot. Because like I said, I don't want to say victim, but I certainly know about this. Bringing a really high-end product, a beautiful restaurant in a beautiful spot in a historic building. Yet, it just didn't cut it. It just failed miserably after 6 months. After years and years of opening restaurants that lasted 10, 20, 8, years, on and on. To come to a city, invest a chunk of change, and it fall apart within 6 months. And that was the kind of location. So you must study the demographic. You must understand the staffing issues, because there are restaurants out there that are doing very well. And their staff, their front of the house staff is walking with $300, $250, $400 a day in tips. And you're just opening up. You have no idea what you're going to do. And sometimes that gets you mediocre service. And you say to yourself, like, now what? Mediocre cooks, because that's what I can pay. Because we're just starting. You really have to find yourself the best way. And I think it all comes down to how well do you inspire people? And that's something I was guilty of not doing. Perhaps I even sucked some people's souls up, in my sort of need to be the Uber chef. And it was the wrong approach. It was what I like to say, putting my foot in my mouth. And it cost a lot of money. Now, I had the pleasure of working with visionaries over the years. And I probably didn't agree with the vision early on in my career. But as I got older, I started to understand. By inspiring people, you are taking them to their absolute best. Whether or not they have the skills or whether or not they have the experience. But they will share a genuine interest in serving your guest. And in the end, genuine and lo que decimos en Puerto Rico, una actitud servicial, a service-oriented attitude, goes very far in the guest mind, in the guest expectation, and what the guests will experience while they're eating your food. Now, most chefs believe that their food is spot on. And, we certainly do try. And I always have. And I'm not saying it's always been spot on, but mostly spot on. And I thank God for that. But the truth is, it's that service. I've often said that people will not go back and eat, filet mignon with foie gras and all the fixings, beautifully presented, high-end dining experience, but shitty service. And what ends up happening is they say, nah, I don't want this. And then they go to another place and they just have rice and beans, maybe some carne guisada, something simple, but served wonderfully, humbly, and happily. And these are the things that made the difference. And I think people will return more often when they have friendly and personalized service. And these are the things that I think are key to success. Now, we've discussed location. We've discussed not necessarily having the cream of the crop to choose from, when you're opening something. But that's when it falls on your lap. You need to make sure you find the right location. You need to make sure that you can inspire people to go beyond even the limits they set for themselves. And those are the things that I believe make a restaurant successful. A lot of restaurants are cash-strapped. That's not unusual. It's not the only thing also that you absolutely need. You do need some money, I guaranteed. Or you won't even get a shake at that stick. But if you get all those elements together and you're willing to use these tools of inspiration and knowledge and sharing the success that you are after with your staff, I'm almost willing to say I can guarantee you will be successful. And that is not a light statement. And I say that again, I'll contact the legal team to see if I can say things like that. But I say it to you very humbly, and I say it to you on the podcast. Those are the things. And you will find yourself being loved by this staff. You will create that family environment amongst the staff. Because the opposite is a disaster. When the staff start working against management or the ownership of the company because they believe that they're self-serving and arrogant, and they literally start treating your guests bad and being nonchalant about service. And these things could put you in a hole faster than you know. Man, I tell you, when it's bad, it's bad. And there's no way out. And you try 1,000 different angles, and yet none of them, without that simple philosophy in play, will work. I believe this. And, location, most definitely. But inspiration is a must. And without that, I'd say you really don't stand a chance. You don't stand a chance. Even if you are a high-end restaurant with an endless bank account, you have a great partner, he's loaded, she's loaded, and they say, I want this, you do it, here's a blank check for you to make this happen. It happens. You will not pull it off if you are arrogant. And you can have the resources to put it all in line, but you will not have the basics in line. That service, that genuine hospitality that people are looking for. It is the hospitality business. That's what we're into. Even cooks, even the arrogant ones, wouldn't do it unless they got some kind of joy of producing something for somebody. Yeah, I'd have to say the pandemic had a lot to do with people just kind of saying, like, it's just a job. I think we're past that. I think we're back to career-oriented individuals coming to the restaurant business, wanting to learn, wanting to be part of a successful team. These are the things. These are the elements needed. So location is key. Service is key. Finances are huge. But more than anything, your willingness to share with your staff is going to be the top of the entire list. So, I mean, having said this, I'm excited. I'm currently opening a restaurant with a group, as you all know, 7,000 square feet, huge high-profile spot. Should be exciting. And I'm using this philosophy for honestly, and this is kind of shameful for me to say, but for the first time in my life, do I understand that? And I'm using it in somebody else's business. And I don't mind, because it's honing that skill to be the loved one, to be the one that everyone wants to ask. Chef, I need this. Chef, I need that. Chef, what do you think? A term that I don't take lightly, by the way. The whole thing with chef. These days, chef is thrown around the kitchen like it's just, well, you cook, you're a chef. It goes so beyond that. And it even goes beyond what it used to be 10 years ago. You almost have to be a philosopher, a visionary, an artist, a business person, and you need to understand people. You need to understand your guest. You need to understand your staff. And you need to understand what makes it all tick and click. And once you do that, everything falls into line. And I say this because I've been witness to it. And I know it works. And that's going to be from now on, my philosophy in the restaurant business. The integrity, the professionalism, the skills involved. These things are going to take us forward as an industry, take us forward individually, financially, take us forward as people. Are you willing to love? Yes. Are you willing to share? Yes. Those are the things that drive me lately. I know I cook good, and I thank God, once again, I thank God for that, because not everyone does. I remember I worked with a chef many years ago, and this guy, Mark Felix, a very talented French chef from Lyon. Really rough guy. Oh, my God. You can imagine. But this guy was talented. This guy could literally just drop cilantro or parsley or something on a plate, and it fell perfectly. Yet he had a terrible attitude, and no one loved him. And nobody even noticed the quality of his work. That's not what you want. Your guest will hear it from your waitstaff. And they will spread the word around your community. And you may find yourself an enemy to people. You may find yourself subject to their mannered reviews. Because they don't like you. Because they heard you're a jerk. You have to heed my words today, because this is key. Any of you who own a food truck, a food stall, a small restaurant, a big restaurant, fine dining, light dining, fast food, these are key. Keep your hours. Don't go against the hours you set on the internet. Nothing upsets guests more than when they come in and say, it says you close at 11. And, oh, but it was slow, so the manager closed. You got some just, dry, person saying these things to your guest. And they go and say, oh, we'll never go back. And they tell their friends and so on and so on and so on. You remember the old commercials with the shampoo. It's true. That's the way it is. So, having talked about these different things and started the conversation,